Yo, what's up guys? This is Cardboard. So I kind of messed up my mic. So I kind of forgot to turn on my mic about 3 hours into recording. So a lot of this is going to be me doing a voiceover, but today we're building a $550 gaming computer and I'm going to show you how. So as you can see on the desk, I have a couple parts such as the motherboard, CPU, SSD, CPU cooler, and as well as a case and the RAM and the graphics card. Go ahead and unbox your motherboard box and take out everything, including the I/O shield, the Wi-Fi antenna, and the motherboard itself. And then what you're going to want to do is place the motherboard on top of the box, just like this. After you've unwrapped it, go ahead and open your CPU box and take out the CPU, which we're using a Ryzen 5 5500. So it's a nice 6-core 12-thread CPU. Now to install the CPU, what you're going to do is unlatch this little hinge right here. Make sure you pull out and then up. And there's going to be a golden arrow on the CPU and an arrow on the motherboard. You're going to match up those arrows and make sure they're aligned. And when you drop in the CPU, just give it a little wiggle. If it doesn't budge, then you're all good to go. And then you just put the hinge back down. To install the RAM, all you got to do is unclip the retention tabs for slots A2 and B2. You only really do this if you have 2 sticks of RAM. If you have 4, just populate all 4. And for the reasons we do slot A2 and B2, just so our memory could be in dual channel and we get a little bit more performance. And to actually install the RAM, what you're going to do is line up the notch on the RAM stick with the notch on the motherboard. And make sure you press down on both sides very firm, just so that it clicks down on both sides. So I wasn't able to show this before, or actually I just kind of forgot to show it, but this is how you install an M.2 SSD. In this build, I won't be using M.2 SSD, I'll be using a SATA SSD, but I'm going to show you how to install a M.2 SSD. M.2 SSDs are basically just like a piece of gum that you can install onto the motherboard. So to install it, all you got to do is line up the notches on the SSD with the notches on the motherboard. And then with the M.2 screw, I don't know what they're called, but they're just very tiny screws. They're like the tiniest screws you can probably find in a gaming computer, but all you got to do is use that and screw it in. And you would of course install SSD before you put the motherboard inside the case. Moving on to the CPU cooler. To install the cooler, you first have to remove the brackets that hold the back plate, and all it takes is 4 screws. And for our CPU cooler, we have the Roswell RWGCM2-51D. Yeah, I know. I actually got this one for free. It was bundled up with the CPU. And so far as coolers, it's actually a pretty decent cooler to install and use. The software is atrocious to find. And for those of you who are actually using this cooler right now, I'll be leaving a link for the software in the description because you're gonna have a hard time finding it. Go ahead and take everything outside the box and make sure you peel the sticker at the bottom of the cooler. And then this will be the 120mm fan that I'll attach to the heatsink, but we're gonna put both of these away for now. To install the cooler, you're gonna need the following. You're gonna need the standoffs, mounting plate, and the screws. For the standoffs, they look like this. They're either gonna say AM4 or Intel. You're going to want to make sure the AM4 side is facing down and the Intel side is facing up. And now for the mounting brackets, make sure the flat side is facing outwards, so towards the RAM and towards the heatsink. And line up the mounting bracket holes with the standoff and use the included screws to screw them in. And then use the thermal paste that came with the cooler. Throw a little glob on there, not too much, not too little. And then with the heatsink, you're gonna line up the screws with the mounting point, and then you're just gonna keep alternating on each side until it fully screws in. And then to mount the fan onto the heatsink, you're gonna get the 2 mounting brackets for the fan, and you're gonna line up these little notches with the holes on the fan. Make sure it's facing outwards. Now there's gonna be some perforated edges on the bracket, and there's also gonna be another edge on the heatsink. So what you're gonna do is get both sides and pull it back onto the edge so that it snatches onto the heatsink. To connect the fan, you're going to run the wire behind the cooler just so it looks a little cleaner, and then you're going to connect it to the CPU_fan. That way you can get a good reading on how fast your fan is spinning. And then finally, we can get everything inside the case. Go ahead and unscrew the side panels. In our case, the glass panel slides to the side and then outwards, while the back panel just unscrews and you can just slide it out. For the I/O shield, it just goes to this empty part of the case. Just make sure you line up the ports with the ports on the motherboard, and then use both hands to click it into place. And make sure you clean up your area just to give yourself a little extra space. Trust me. Oh my god, I just made the biggest new mistake of my life. I've been recording for like 2 hours without my mic on. Now I gotta do a whole voiceover thing. Oh my god. Yo. Right. Okay, you know what? Okay. Okay, this is where the voiceover stops. So as you can see, I am missing 2 standoffs, one right here and one right here. So within the accessories box of the case, I'm pretty sure there's a couple extra standoffs, so we're just gonna use that. An easy way to tell which standoffs are missing is if you go in to install your motherboard, just like this, and you can see under the standoff point that there's no standoff. such as these two right here, you can see there's no standoff. So we're just gonna install 2 of these standoffs. Now I don't recommend doing what I just did right now. I'm positive this isn't an official like bit for standoffs, but it does work. But as you can see, there's kind of metal shards on the little thing on the bit. So I don't know, just be careful, be aware. Go ahead and get yourself an actual standoff tool, like, you know, a smart person would. But we can install the motherboard now, so let's go ahead and do that. So go ahead and grab your motherboard from the CPU cooler and install it at a 45-degree angle and match up the IOs with the IO shield. And then match up all the standoff points with the holes on the motherboard. And you're gonna use this type of screw. I forget what it's called, but I'll put it up on the screen. I just call them motherboard screws. They're like they have like a little plate on them. And there's 8 screw points, so go ahead and just screw all of it down. And the cable that's connected to the heatsink, which is just for the screen, I'm gonna route it to the top of the case and then down under to the USB. Let me show you. So, this cable connected to the screen, all right? It's gonna go into this hole up here. Or, it don't matter, any hole. You know, cable management is subjective. This is the behind now. Pull it all the way through. And then you can reroute it under here, right here. Now for the power supply. You can use any power supply, but I have this unit from Raidmax. It is a 650 watt 80 plus gold, and it is tier C on the power supply tier list. And for around $550, that's pretty average. Any cable ties at this point, just go ahead and undo them. Make sure when you're installing a power supply, you have the fan facing downwards so that it can get fresh air. You're just gonna slide it in like this. And then there's gonna be 4 mounting points. You're gonna use this type of screw. And that's it. That's how you install power supply. That's really easy. Pretty much just 4 screws. If anything, building computers is like Legos with no directions. But that's okay, that's why I'm here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and install the cables now. Let me show you how I do it. I first start with the case cables, so front USB, front panel connectors, audio, type C, whatever. You do it first because these are the tiny wires, and it's a lot easier to do it now. As you can see, there's the power button, front jack, 2 USBs, and a type C. But on the motherboard, there is no type C, so that's okay. Now, starting with the USB 3.0 connector, it looks like this. I'm gonna show you how it looks from the inside. And for the 3.0 connector, it's gonna be right here, and it looks like that. What you're gonna do is route it however you would like. I'm gonna route it through this channel right here, and it only goes in one way. As you can see, there's a little tab right here. I might should have put this tab right here. Just like that, and you pull it back. Easy. For audio, it's gonna be on the left side of the board, under the PCIe slots, basically where we install the power supply. And you're gonna go through the power supply shroud, just like that, and it only goes in one way. So we're just gonna plug it in like that. This is how the front of the connector looks. And for the front panel connectors, there's gonna be right next to the USB connector. I'm gonna route the little cables right next to the same USB port. Pull these out, and as you can see, there's 4 cables. Some cases have this connector as just one block, but you know, the cheaper ones have them as separate connectors. I don't know why, but it's all right. I'm gonna teach you how to do it. So power switch, this one. Now, this is gonna be a little bit harder to show you. I'm gonna put a graph on the screen to show you where each cable goes. So for the power button, it's just gonna be the top 2 pins. Doesn't matter how you put it. Power LED, that's gonna be right next to the power switch. Positive's gonna go on the left, negative's gonna go on the right. But last but not least, we have our reset switch. That one's just gonna go right under the power switch. Then again, pull all the cables back so it looks a little cleaner. And that's all the case cables. And it seems a little more intuitive than it should be, but you know, some things have to be a little harder than others. Not really, but kind of just have to go through what we gotta go through. All right, now let's plug in the power supply cables. I'm going to be using this 24-pin extension. This is not required at all, but I'm going to be using it personally. There's this little clip right here, and there's this little clip right here. Just plug it in like this. Bam. So the 24-pin cable is going to route through here. The 4+4 pin for the CPU is going to route up here, and then we'll get to the PCIe whenever I plug in the graphics card. And then same thing for the SATA cable for our SSD. Again, there's clips on each thing to show you where to plug it in. So if there's a clip on a cable and a clip on the motherboard, put two and two together, you just plug it in. And the CPU cable is going to be a little harder to plug in, but same thing, clip on the motherboard, bam. And we're looking so far so good. Now in our case, we can mount the SSD right here. And there's these tiny holes on the SSD, one over here, that you can clip into this little thing right here. And then you're free to screw it in as you please. This is a SATA cable, and this is also a SATA cable. A little confusing, but SATA power, SATA data. That's what I refer to them as. So the SATA data cable is going to plug into the smaller port onto the SSD. Only goes in one way, so just like that, and then route it through this little hole right here. And for the SATA power, again, only one way. And that's it. That's how you install the SSD. Coming to the front of the case, plugs in like this. Only one way, again. Bam. Just like that. Now, as you can see, it's just a giant mess back here now. Now, again, like I said before, cable management is subjective to, whoever builds a computer. I like to do it as it looks good enough. Okay, don't do what I'm doing, okay? I don't have shear cutters at the moment, so just be careful when you're cutting your zip ties, okay? All I have is scissors. All right, and last but not least, we have the fan cables. Or again, just untie it like that. Nothing too fancy. As you see, this cable right here leads up here, and that is the back fan. That is the rear fan, okay? And fan cables are pretty much just the same as a CPU fan cable, so any port you find free, feel free to plug it in. I'm going to plug in the back fan down here, and then the 3 front fans, I'm going to plug it into the top up here. And then cable manage as you see fit. It's always nice to have extra cable ties because, sometimes the case manufacturer only gives you like 5. I like to use a little more than 5. Not required, but just to make it look a little cleaner. That's pretty much it. And for our GPU cable, we're going to route it through this little hole right here. And before we install our GPU, make sure you unscrew this little latch. And these are breakaway ones, so we're just going to break down the second one and the third one. Finally, a graphics card. Now, our graphics card, this is the PCIe slot, and to plug it into the motherboard, all you gotta do is unclip this motherboard like that and line it up just like that. Just like that. And to screw in the graphics card, you're gonna use the same screws as the PSU. Same thing for the graphics card, clip, just like that. Then hide this under there. Boom, that's how you build a $550 gaming computer. Now, who thinks we should do some benchmarks? I think we should do benchmarks. Alright, before we actually do benchmarks, we have to install Windows. On another computer, go to Google or Edge or whatever browser you use and search up Windows 11 Media Creation Tool. After that, you're going to scroll down to the link. I'll leave a link in the description, and you're going to go ahead and download it. And make sure you have a free USB, at least 8 gigs. And after that, just make sure you install it, and whatever is on that drive will be deleted, but do not fret, it is okay. After installing the Media Creation Tool onto the drive, this is what it should look like. And if it looks like this on your screen, you're all good to go. Just go ahead and eject the drive. Go ahead and go to the drive and just right click it, and then click eject. Now go ahead and plug in that USB into your new computer, and then turn on your computer and let it load. After letting it load for some time, it should boot you into the Windows installation. You're just going to go through the setup until you reach this page. And if it doesn't let you install Windows like I can't, go ahead and do what I do. Go ahead and press Shift F10 on your keyboard, type in disk part, and then press enter, and then type in list space disk, and it should show you a list of the drives. And as you can see, it says 0 gigabytes free out of our 512 gigabyte SSD. Weird, right? What you're going to do is type in select disk, and then type in format, enter, clean, enter. and then type in list disk again, just so you can make sure that it's actually cleaned. And then at this point, you can exit out of disk part. Just type in exit twice, and then go back to the Windows installation, press refresh, and then it should let you install Windows 11 onto your drive. And it'll take a couple minutes, maybe like 15 minutes just to install Windows. Now, when you're finally into Windows, here's what you're gonna do. If you don't have Wi-Fi or Ethernet, you're gonna type in Shift F10 once again, and then type in this command: OOBE / bypass NRO. Then press enter. You're gonna get, you're gonna get logged out. The computer's gonna restart, and then you're gonna go through your setup as usual, and you're gonna see you don't have to make a Microsoft account. It's gonna be amazing. Now, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you're gonna download an NVIDIA app. If you have an AMD GPU, you're gonna download the Radeon software. For us, we have a 5060, so we're gonna download the NVIDIA app. Installing is very simple. Just download and install. It's literally 2 buttons. All right, so I'm getting I'm getting kind of fatigued from explaining stuff. So we're just gonna move into the benchmarks because, the BIOS updates and the drivers. I'll leave a link to all that in the description, but I know I wanted this video to be informative, but I'm getting tired of explaining things. I really don't make videos as long. As you can see, we're like 16 minutes in, but we're just gonna go ahead with the benchmarks because I'm tired of this. Now, starting with everyone's favorite game, Fortnite in 1080p with performance mode. We got a nice average of 183 FPS and a 1% low of 79. Oof, you guys saw that shot? Guys, I am not who I used to be before. I was literally god in this game, but now I'm just... I'm terrible at this game now. But in Valorant 1080p on all those settings except high details, I believe, we have an average of 318 FPS and a 1% low of 150. Not too bad at all. I think in this clip, I didn't get a single kill in this deathmatch, so yeah. But in Apex, we got an average of 203 FPS on medium settings. But in these first clips, I forgot to get rid of the FPS cap, so we're kind of just capped at like 144 the whole time. But I tested it again with the FPS uncapped. But side note, these guys were pretty cool. I'm sorry to whoever I was playing with. I didn't have a mic on. But this PC can pretty much run anything in 1080p. Any esports titles you want to play, maybe some 1440p titles as well. Now, Marvel Rivals with no upscaling, 1080p on medium settings. We got an average of 120 FPS with a 1% of 78. Not too bad at all. But in Cyberpunk 2077, I ran this on all high settings with a little bit of upscaling and in 1440p, but we got an average of 105 FPS. And I ran the benchmark test just to keep a little bit more consistency, because usually I play it in game, but I thought for this one we'd give it a little bit more consistent run. And then the last game I tested was Spider-Man 2, all high settings in 1440p. Now, I think this game struggled a little bit. I think this game is just generally harder to run. But I only got an average of 68 FPS with 1% low of 42. Now, this isn't unplayable, but go ahead and turn on frame gen. It'll give you a little higher FPS and you only get a slight delay. Now, the parts list isn't perfect. For example, my 5060 Ti, probably not gonna get that for sub 250. But you probably can get an RTX 3070. It still has 8GB of VRAM, and you can still play high 1080p settings, maybe medium 1440p settings. There are other options as well, such as the 4060 maybe. You can get that for sub 250. Or if you want an AMD card, there's the RX 6600 XT, RX 7600, whichever one you get your hands on. But thank you guys for watching the video. I'm gonna go ahead and actually edit this video now. I gotta do a lot of voiceovers. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like. But until next time, peace.